for the position. I'm very glad that you wish to serve the city, and so right now I do want to go over with you that, you probably heard me talking a little bit, that it's we have 5 regular members and 2 alternates. So before we get started right here, so there, is a position on both a regular and alternate. Would you be willing to accept either position?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. So we are going to go over, I'm going to start with some of the questions, just have some target ones here. And if they have any other questions after I say that, we'll jump in. Okay. So John, what is your understanding of how the P&Z board operates?
Well, the plan, you're talking about the planning and
zoning, I'm sorry, planning and
board.
zoning, yes.
What I know about boards is that, I don't know if you want to call it ideas, I don't want to really say that, but yeah, I believe that I can give some advice that would probably be a positive element. I'm thinking about the board I was in before. I was in the Park and Recreation Board.
Okay.
And when I was on that board, I did everything that I could possibly do with the Parks and Recreation, where I saw that other board members weren't doing anything. So, I really cared about that job, and then unfortunately they dissolved
So
it.
they said, yeah.
But I think I want to be on the planning and zoning board because it shapes the community, okay? It actually is good for the community to have a board that will stand for the city as well as the community.
Okay.
I think it's not quite what I wanted to say today, but.
That's okay.
I'm
So
not-
what I'm going to do too is, I just wanted to see, so my first question was, how much did you know about the board? Did you know about its roles and responsibilities? So I'm going to hand you this right now so you will know. So then, do you know what your role would be on the board, or do you have any ideas of what your role would be?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay.
I see that there's issues already out there, okay? I noticed that a lot of places I go to, like restaurants and stuff, I don't really see enough parking. So I don't think that was really planned out very well. I also, I would love to see the city, which is not very big, but would have more restaurants that are open from, say, 4 o'clock to, say, 10 o'clock at night, instead of us losing the revenue to Port Orange or Ponce Inlet. So I would like to, see something change there. It's just, something that I see every day. Okay.
Well, great, thanks for that answer. Have you reached out to any of the current members of the board to learn more about the position? Have you talked to anyone?
Well, I wanted to. I was talking to Chuck.
Okay.
But, we haven't had the opportunity. I'm trying to help out some condos in Daytona Beach Shores. They've lost their employees. So I'm kind of like, right now, doing 4 part-time jobs.
Oh, wow, okay. All right. And I've read it here, but I just want it for the record. So are you a taxpayer in the city?
Yes.
Okay. And is that as a resident or a business owner?
It's a resident.
Okay, all right. So what were your responsibilities or your last job or your current position that you feel would qualify for you, this position on the P&Z board, planning and zoning?
Well, I'm a retired postal supervisor.
Okay.
And also, right now I'm working at the golf club. I've been there for 8 years.
Okay.
I don't know if that really pertains to the
That's what I was
board.
going to say. Do you think you have,
Right.
any kind of background that you think?
Well, we run that golf course and it's nonprofit. And, we do give our ideas and everything to the board of the golf course, okay? And I think it's pretty positive. I noticed that you were at the
The ribbon cutting of the new
Yes.
tee box that I didn't know what the tee
Well,
box
I
was,
was
but
working
yeah.
at the time, so
Okay.
I couldn't go.
All right, so what's a tee box and what am I cutting the ribbon for?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Now, my golfing buddies probably would have known that,
Yeah.
so. So this is on a committee and you're working with a board. Tell me about a time in the past that you've had to work on a committee or a board.
Well, the Parks and Recreation, that was just before you made mayor. I
Okay.
think they dissolved that, so I would say that was on, 6 years ago, I believe.
What did you like about working on a board?
I thought it was interesting, people that would come to the board meetings. And I was able to, what I would do is I would write everything down that I thought needed attention at
Mhm.
all the parks. And I do believe the board really liked that.
Was there a certain part of working on a committee or working with 5 other board members, or how many you had that you didn't like?
Absolutely.
Well, and can you share what that was?
Well, there was one person on the board that was kind of negative all the time. And unfortunately, there was a time when we had a board meeting and I was leaving the board meeting with a friend of mine, and she yelled out that I was a liar. And I thought that was really inappropriate.
I
So
can understand.
I just stayed away from that person.
Okay, all right, so, what do you think, since you've been on a board before, what qualities do you think makes a great or a good board member?
Well, I think a good board member spends time, their own personal time to make the board better. That's what I think, okay, because that's what I did when I was on the other board. I spent a lot of time, I jumped on my motorcycle, because I know you drive motorcycle. And I wrote down things about every park and stuff, and gave my opinions to the city. And I thought it was very helpful to the city.
Thank you, John. So staff is very involved with our board. What do you think you would need from staff to make this board successful?
New people?
New people
On the
on
board.
staff or on, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like myself.
As far as staff goes, what do you think good support you'd need from staff?
Well, from the councilman, obviously.
Okay.
I guess you're all married, except for you.
All right, so our staff, like, Kurt's our city manager, and,
Oh, obviously.
from our staff, Stuart's our community service director that works mostly with this board. What do you feel like you'd need for them to help a board be successful?
Let me see. What's the next question?
Oh, okay, see, the interviewer threw you, huh?
No, I always found that our city manager, was willing to listen, to me when I would come here. I didn't make too many, don't get me wrong. but
Okay.
I did make some council meetings, and I did suggest things, and I really did appreciate his, he would look into it. That made me feel.
All right, and the last thing is, what specifically about this particular board position interests you?
Well, Chuck got me interested in it,
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
He said, John, I think you could go on a board, planning and zoning. So I have some ideas, and I have some issues, with the city and stuff. So I got it.
Okay, that's all the questions I have right now. What other questions does my council have? Mel?
John, are you aware that even as an alternate, that you still have to attend the meetings? You said you work 4 jobs, and I know that is.
Oh, yeah, it's just temporarily. What happened was, we had 2 buildings, including my own building, and we all started cleaning people. But I would always still keep on 2 jobs. My two main jobs is the landscaping and library, and also working with the golf course, because besides just working, I find it interesting meeting new people and stuff. And of course, it always helps to play with
Do you have
Goody.
enough flexibility, even keeping the 2 jobs, do you have enough flexibility that if they say we have a meeting Monday morning or Tuesday afternoon or whatever, that
I
you
can
can
make
change your schedule to make them?
I'll be across the street.
All right, good.
And make it.
Good point there, thank you, Vice Mayor.
That's all I have.
Okay, who else has any questions?
I have a question. This is Councilman, nice to meet you. I noticed on page 2, your information sheet, you indicated to promote new ideas that will help you. What new ideas?
Right off the bat, I would probably say, what I said before about the restaurants, that we don't have restaurants that we need. So if you want to go out, you go once in a week for lunch. I just think that we could have something like that.
Any businesses that you would like to see
Oh, yeah.
to Daytona Beach shores and some that you would not like to see?
Well, if you talk to my son, he would love to see the old Bank of America building become a McDonald's.
Okay.
And, I don't know, I think of the beach and everything else, maybe a Sonic, because, it's like a drive-in, I'm from New Jersey, so I'm used to Weber's and Stewart's, okay? And I always thought that was great, the Birch Beer was great.
Mhm.
I would keep looking into it.
Okay, and the mayor wants Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A and
Oh, yeah.
Panera's, and Panera's.
Candace wants Wendy's.
Oh, Wendy's, okay, no.
Yeah, but their french fries will never beat McDonald's.
Arby's new cheesesteak is yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Arby's is coming a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Brian or Councilman Blightus, anything? Okay.
Just have one, John.
Yeah.
Do you have any background, either professionally or informally, in planning, zoning, developments and projects, things like that, construction?
I can say absolutely. But I can learn fast.
Good. Have a desire to.
Right.
Yes, I do.
So we have another applicant, and then if we have time, we'll do a little bit of a discussion, but then we will be appointing these at the regular city council meeting later on tonight. Okay?
Do you have time to go home first before?
Yes.
Coming back
Yes.
for the council
You
meeting?
do, yes, you do.
When's the council meeting start?
It starts at 6, but if I'm looking at the agenda, we're doing our budget this evening, adapting that, so I would say you probably have 45 minutes.
Okay,
6:15? Okay, don't hold me to it, sometimes I'm pretty quick, but I would say 6:15.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for coming in
Thank
today.
you very much.
Appreciate
Very
it.
nice to meet you. Thanks.
Good to see you again, John.
Yes, same thing.
Take care.
Thank you.
Can you take this out of here so we get to the
Sure.
first person? Richard, would you go?
I have is that voice to text?
Yes.
It's pretty good.
Most of the time, it's terrible. Most of the time, it's terrible.
No, I was looking.
When I sat down there, we would try not to laugh at some of the things it put up.
Saying,
Yeah,
well,
well, I'm just saying.
are the questions
You did
okay?
pretty well,
Anything
though.
else you
No,
got
that's
taken
fine.
out or put in? I just love them up.
Nice to meet you.
Mel Lindar, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Good afternoon, Guy Michael Politis.
Very
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so today you probably know a little bit about our P and Z board. At one time, we had 7 members on the board and 2 alternates. We received feedback from that board that it was a little cumbersome and it was a little hard to manage. So we've gone down to 5 regular members and 2 alternates. So there's some people that are reapplying today for the regular members. So I just wanted to know before we got started, would you be interested in being a regular and/or a alternate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will.
Okay, great, okay, great. We have, wanted to go over this with you. These are a little bit of the roles and responsibilities. I didn't know how much you knew about the board. So that's one of the first questions. I just want to see your understanding of what the P and Z board, how it operates. Do you have any knowledge on that?
From the bullet points on the website, that's
Okay.
what I gathered from that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
so, kind of
And so what was your understanding on the website?
So, basically, just analyzing past trend, current condition, and future factors that could affect the economic base. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I haven't been interviewed.
That's okay.
Since.
You do the interview, right?
Since, I got a call.
Okay.
On fire.
That's okay. Well, you know what,
Okay.
actually, Guy, I want to tell you,
Yeah.
okay, so in my previous
Sure.
life, I was a HR manager, so I did a lot of interviewing, and one of the goals is to make people feel as comfortable as possible. So last time we interviewed, we all sat up there,
Oh, wow.
and they were standing up there, and I thought, no, I don't think that's comfort, so I'm trying to
Right,
be
right,
on
right,
the same
no,
level
yeah,
as
yeah,
you,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's environmental factors, one of them. There's 4 or 5
Okay. So you did read up on it a little
Yeah.
bit, okay, all right, okay. What would you feel like your role would be on this board as one of the members of the board?
Listening to potential changes in the zoning code
Mhm.
that the city council brings forth. Also, if there's any groups, I'm not sure if groups can also apply for any changes in the zone,
Mhm.
like nonprofits and so forth. Because in Los Angeles, I was following some development that's happening in Los Angeles
Okay.
where a nonprofit is bringing to the attention that hotels over there should be able to house homeless people after a certain period of time, say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So each hotelier has to call in and say, hey, I got like 20 rooms.
Wow,
So,
okay.
yeah, so,
All right.
doesn't
So
make sense.
What kind of impact
Yeah,
does that,
exactly,
okay? Okay.
yeah.
Have you reached out to any of the current members on the board to learn a little bit more about this position?
No,
Okay.
there was no information on the website as to who's on the board.
Okay, are you a taxpayer in the city?
I am a business owner.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask, so you're a resident, you're a business owner? What
Correct.
businesses do you own?
The Shoreline, All Suites Inn,
Okay.
the Cabana Colony Cottages.
Okay. All right, my parents stayed at the Shoreline years and years and years ago. Little in the cottages, right, okay. And where do you live right now?
In
Guy?
Monson.
Okay. One of my best friends, Lois Blinsky. Can you tell me a little bit about the responsibilities in your last job or current job? So what we're looking for, is there something that would relate that you've done in the past that would be pertinent to this position?
Sure. During my last position, was actually with a hedge fund.
Okay.
Managing risk through heat and natural gas futures,
Okay.
doing heat rate spreads and so forth. But prior to that, I was with Bear Stearns with the investment bank, buying whole loan portfolios from other institutions. With that, I had to analyze contracts and suggest on the business aspect of it, if this kind of makes sense, working with attorneys and so forth.
Okay, I know some attorneys. Okay, so, this would be working on a board with, other members of the board. So tell me about another time when you worked either on a committee or a board and you had different opinions on a task or a project you were working on.
You know, 100% honest. I've never been on a committee or a board. Most of that, I was working in the group. School project.
Okay, with technology.
Yeah, I mean, there were some programs that we had to put together. My last job, as a team, we had to collab. We got our pros and cons.
So there was
Because-
varying,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, totally open to change and seeing how it would work. Put together.
So in your opinion, what would make a great board member?
someone who could step back, weigh in both sides. Actually, in effect, now I declare the emergency. Why they want done, and how that would affect the
And I don't know how much you know about our staff here. We have a great staff in all of our opinions. We have a city manager, and then we have our, you know, and I know you know him, our community service director now, that is Stuart Cruz, and our Gail Gwen, that is our code enforcement. So what do you think you would need from that staff in order to ensure that this board was successful?
Probably guidance in terms of, you know, what the city sees as if something fits within a certain zoning code. And what are the parameters for doing that? And see if there's any flexibility that we could probably structure whatever projects coming through the, you know, our way.
With you being in a business or having these two businesses here, how have you worked with the staff, with our staff? You know, what is your contact with them?
You know, when I want to make changes to our structures and so forth, I'd like to go talk to Glenn and Stuart and see what is permissible. You know, I guess there's plenty of hotels here on the beach side. And to have an edge against your competition, you want to see what you can do.
Okay.
Whatever the boundaries where you can't cross. Certain signage.
Okay, so exactly what about this position interests you?
Learning. I always like to learn. It's kind of fascinating in formal government. And I think this would be a good opportunity to learn. Yeah.
All right, Vice Mayor, do you want to ask again about
Yeah,
that?
are you aware that even as an alternate, if you were appointed as an alternate, that you still would have to attend the meetings? And because that's the way you learn.
Right, exactly, exactly.
And your business would allow you to,
Yeah,
yeah, you gotta talk to the boss.
Yeah, my boss
To
is
the
right
boss,
there.
yeah, we
Would you
all-
let him out?
I agree.
Okay, so she vouched that you're okay on that.
Okay. Councilman Politis, do you have any
I
other
don't have any
questions?
questions, thank you.
This is our newest councilman,
Yes.
I don't know if you,
Briefly met
oh, you
just a
did,
second
okay,
ago.
oh, I'm sorry, that's right, you
Now,
did.
now, if
okay.
there was any zoning and planning issues that affected either one of your businesses, how would you deal with that?
Trying to figure out what is the benefit, or is it gonna, the benefit with the city? How is it gonna, and see if my business can go for that now. If you can't, then I have to think about exiting.
Now, if you were on the board, would you have any issues if you stood back and let the other members decide if it was something that was going to affect your businesses either way?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in that respect, yeah, I would have to. would have to
I think
recuse
legally what
myself.
he's pointing to is that you couldn't legally vote on issues that
Right,
affect
right.
you. You would have to
Right.
recuse yourself from the vote.
Yeah,
And you
just
would
like
be
how
okay with
judges,
that, knowing, letting the other board
Yeah,
members,
absolutely.
okay. Good question.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Brian?
Were you managing natural gas risk when Enron went bankrupt?
No, sir. No.
Did you know anything about it at the time?
There were some traders that I was working with that were analysts when that happened.
And did they foresee time before it actually?
I think that kind of occurred in regards to the accounting aspect of it. So they, as an analyst, they weren't aware of how big the positions were or anything like that. So, no.
Do you have any questions for us?
No?
Okay, all right. Well, Guy, I want to thank you very much for applying for the position, wanting to serve us in the city. We thank you for the business that you do have in the Shores. And so we thank you with that. What we're going to do right now, we'll have, a little brief conversation. And then at the city council meeting, that it's probably going to be about 6:15 before we get to this item, we'll be deciding, we're going to be having regular members, maybe reappointed again. So that's when we'll make the final decision. But again, thank you very much for coming in today.
Very much. Thank you, Jack. Nice meeting you.
You too. Nice to meet you, John.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, so this is the time, it's a workshop, it is a public forum, although we don't have a lot of public here. Anyone, with any ideas or any feedback?
I'd just like to clarify, basically, we have four, if you discount the people that are gonna get reappointed, which I think we all agree on that. There are 4 people for 3 positions, is that right?
Yes. We have
Yes.
one alternate still.
And somebody will probably.
Yeah.
And in my mind, and I'm gonna be honest about this, I'll talk about it right now. In my mind, I was thinking, are we going to promote one, or not promote, are we gonna put one of our alternates up to regular? If I saw, really, knock my socks off here, might have done that, but right now, I don't see anything that changes my mind that one of our alternates would probably be better right now with the 2 years' experience that they have, moving them up. So then that'll be our decision at city council. I'll ask for a motion on who we will move up. I would like, when we get into that meeting, maybe ask our city clerk for some questions about who has shown up for meetings, who's been there, because I want somebody that's committed to this job.
Why don't we deal with that now? In terms of-
We can keep
Yeah,
discussing.
okay, all right. Sherry, can we have a question?
Absolutely.
All right, of our regular members, has there been anyone that has any unexcused absence?
No.
Okay, all right. How about any of our alternates? Do we have anyone that has any unexcused absence?
Yes.
Can you check for us, please?
You do have one alternate who's had 2 very recent unexcused absences back to back.
Okay. And can you tell us who that is, please?
Anthony Robertsuski.
Okay. All right. My opinion is, and I can't even remember, in my recollection, it seems like we put him on first, but I'm not so interested in tenure. What I'm interested in is who is committed to doing this job, who's gonna show up, who's gonna do it. I'll use myself as an example, as recently put onto the Florida League of Mayors, who we do have in Volusia County right now. Normally doesn't attend the meetings and normally doesn't, on the last mayor's call, they weren't on there too. So I don't think that's proper representation of
I agree.
our county. So I want someone that I know is committed to the job and is going to do that.
And
So
that's why I asked specifically that tonight, to make sure that they're.
they get the understanding of that, So Chris, as I said before, starting in this 2019.
So Tony's the one, who's the other alderman?
Jenny Groot.
Jenny. Okay, so if we were to disqualify Tony for that reason, and we want to move somebody up, it would be just Jenny, right?
Yes, that would be, unless you saw someone here today, okay.
You're saying that would be something.
Yeah, that they've had the experience. Move them up. Okay, all right.
And then we would appoint the 2 that we interviewed tonight as the alternates.
Only one
Yeah,
of them.
there's-
Because,
So
no,
Anthony would still be an alternate.
Anthony would still be an
Oh, I
alternate.
thought you said you were.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, we really, the way that it runs, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really after 3 unexcused that they're removed from the board.
Correct.
So right now, he only has the 2.
Is he, when is his term up?
They don't have.
As an alternate, he doesn't truly have a term.
So it's basically up every year?
It's basically never unless,
And it's whatever you decide. You
and
can-
we don't have any rules for that right now. We just kind of left them on. I don't know if you remember Harold was a alternate for years. Do we have time? Sure, okay. Is this correct that Harold was an alternate for years and then just elected to go away on it?
Yes.
All right. City Manager, did you have a comment?
No.
Okay. All right.
Sherry, I have one other question on Tony He's missed two. How long has he been an alternate?
From 2019, when you did the board reorganization.
Okay. The two that he missed are just the two recent ones?
I only went back for 1 year.
Okay, all right, and previously, if you remember, Mel, we did not have that requirement.
Right, okay.
Right, so that's that, okay. So then our only thing is right now, do we want to decide right now? What I was looking at is, I don't know if we have a lot of diversity right now on our board. Everyone is a residence. They come with diverse backgrounds, but I don't think we have anyone on there that's currently a business owner. That seemed to interest me, that I think they would come with a different
Well, we
perspective.
do Roseanne, but,
Oh, that's right, yeah,
Roseanne's
right,
yeah,
yeah.
but I still agree with you. I think that for the business people, number one, they have a business background, which is important. And secondly, a different perspective, as you said. It's good. The business person. I was impressed.
He's a better candidate.
Yeah,
I think he's got a better skill set.
Yeah, I
With
do.
which to meet whatever things come before him. He has the right skill set to analyze and make a decision. So he's got my,
You know what?
No, that is alternate.
Mr.
Yes,
Desai,
yes.
as an alternate.
Yes.
And I think
Can
once
everyone
he's got
agree?
a year or two under his belt, I think he'll make an
I would
effective
agree.
planning and
And I
zoning.
would feel more, and again, I'm new to this, so.
Yeah, so I want
would
your
defer.
opinion.
I, just from the public, I feel more comfortable appointing somebody who's already an alternate to a permanent position.
Okay.
You know, because they've been there, they've
Right.
attended the meetings, they know the system, and I would be confident in either one of those two gentlemen, because mainly because of their desire. They
Their
wanna be
desire,
there,
exactly.
And their willingness to learn, and I believe John, was on the Parks and Recreation Board, so I'm sure it's something he could assimilate to if he were to get that, but I cannot discount Guy's experience as a
Okay.
business owner, so.
All right. I will talk to you about this, and, at that time, I'll be asking for a motion. But what I need to tell you in advance, too, is right now, that the way that our code is set up, we would have to do a waiver if we were going to nominate John.
Right.
Guy.
Right.
Okay, so at that time, I would be asking you for a waiver along with, so there's certain things, so we'll be breaking it up into three different sections when we meet. The first one will be putting the 4 board members back on.
Reappoint them, right.
Okay, and then the second one will be putting the, which alternate
we'll
we
move on.
moving up.
Right.
And then the third one is which alternate we want to.
Not to, I'm not sure, I haven't read it, but I thought the requirement in order to be a candidate for the Planning and Zoning Board is either to have a business or a residence
It is.
in the community.
It is.
So he qualifies,
Yes.
there's no requirement for a
But-
waiver.
If you're not a resident, you have to have a waiver.
We have to wait,
Yeah.
we'd
You have to wait,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
But that's,
To clarify that if I can, it's a 4/5 vote
Yes.
for the waiver.
Okay.
So 4 of the 5 of you have to
No worries.
waive that residence.
That's the candidate that you
I'll
want.
be more than happy to offer it all back.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I think, how's this, guys, for a hard stop?
10-2.
All right, now, Michael, right before you came in, I said my friend, I'm very good friends with Heidi Hertzberg, from Deltona. 2:10 in the morning, they got out last week.
Yeah, they all got issues except for us, thank God. I hope it stays that way.
Okay,
2:10? What
yeah,
could you
so,
talk about till 2 in the morning?
Well, they.
Who's gonna
new
run the
city-
DABC for more
no,
liquor?
New city manager, so right now, I don't think I ever called this to order, Sherry, I don't think we took a roll call,
We
but,
didn't.
I
That's
think this part of the meeting is adjourned. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is the September 27th, 2022 City Council meeting, Daytona Beach Shores. Sherry, can you please take a roll?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryan,
Here.
Councilmember Economos,
Here.
Councilmember Platus.
Here.
Thank you so much. Reverend Bob, we need a lot of prayer. A lot.
Yeah. Work your magic.
Yeah, if you could, please lead us.
Before I pray, I want to thank you all for your prayers for me 2 weeks ago when I had COVID and couldn't make it, so thank you so much.
I see you recovered well.
Yeah, yes, I'm feeling much better. Had a negative COVID test on Friday, so
God.
back to my old self, for better or for worse. And I wanted to mention too how blessed we are to live in a city with such helpful staff. And my condo overlooks the parking lot out here where they've been filling sandbags and
Busy
our
today,
staff
wasn't
has
it?
been helping our citizens so much. And saw Kurt out there. I know you took a turn filling sandbags and monitoring the work there. And I saw Stuart out there over the weekend too. So we are just very.
Lori was there quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure others of our staff were there. So
Okay.
let's stand and pray. Gracious God, we are so grateful for observing and being able to see friends and neighbors coming together at times like these to help one another get ready for the storm. We ask for your loving care and compassion, your strength and your protection to be with all those who will face this storm before we will and will take the brunt of it. We pray that you will keep us safe in the midst of the storm as well, especially those who are serving our city in the safety division and in law enforcement. Keep them safe and return them home to their families who love them and who are so concerned for their safety. Be with all of us. May we heed the warnings that come our way and use our common sense to keep ourselves safe and keep others safe as well. And in the midst of the storm, may we know of your abiding love and constant care. We are so mindful of those in Puerto Rico who have already faced a similar situation, and it went through their lives and left a mess. And we pray for them as well. We ask that you would guide and direct the leaders of this city tonight as there is important business before them. And we ask for your wisdom to be present. In all of these things, we ask for your holy countenance to be with us. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
and under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our new business this evening is our millage and our public budget hearing. So I will be calling up item to adopt fiscal year 2022 to 2023, the final millage rate. I do want to announce that this is now a public hearing. Do we need any background information from our finance director?
I just have a few words.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman. Lori Irwin, Finance Director, City of Daytona Beach Shores. Tonight is the final hearing for the final millage rate for the City of Daytona Beach Shores for the fiscal year 2022-23. The millage rate is 4.6389%. This was approved at the last council meeting as the tentative rate and is a 4.51% over the rollback rate. Now, the rollback rate, as we know, is the rate which generates the same revenues from the prior year. Now, with CPI being about 9.1%, we are increasing our, rate to our residents at 4.51%. There have been no changes to the current millage rate from that was approved, and tonight is for the final vote tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for our finance director? If not, again, I'm going to establish that this hearing is for the final millage rate of 4.6389 mils, which is a tax increase of 4.51 over the rollback tax rate of 4.4389 mils. Attorney Carey, can you please read the final millage levy resolution 2022-08 in its entirety?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. And this is resolution number 2022-08. Resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for Volusia County for fiscal year 2022-23, providing an effective date. Whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, on September 27th, 2022, adopted fiscal year 2022-2023 final millage rates following the public hearing as required by Florida statute section 200.065. And whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, held a public hearing as required by Florida statute 200.065, and whereas the gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Volusia County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the City of Daytona Beach Shores as $1,953,270,591. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, that the fiscal year 2022-2023 operating millage rate is 4.6389 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 4.4389 mils by 4.51%. Any resolution or part of the resolution in conflict herewith is hereby repealed. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its adoption. Passed duly and adopted at a public hearing this 27th day of September 2022.
You need to notate the time or not? It's 6:07 p.m.
It's 6:08 p.m. now.
Okay, thank you. Before we do the motion, Councilman, I will be opening up the public comment. Is there anyone that wishes to speak at all about the adoption? Okay, if not, then I'm going to be closing the public comment, and I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-08.
I move we approve 2022-08.
I second it.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion on this? Okay, seeing no discussion, Chair, can you take a roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Plitus?
Yes.
Councilmember Conomos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. The final operating millage rate is now set at 4.6389 mils, which is 4.51% higher than the rollback millage rate of 4.4389 mils. Thank you. Okay, next we are going to go on to the budget public hearing, and I would like to call up fiscal year 2022-2023 final budget, and it is a public hearing. Finance Director, do you have anything to give us on this?
A few less words than I did prior. The final fiscal year 2022-2023 budget of $19,564,000 includes the $200,000 Chase property that was approved at the last council meeting. Other than that, there have been no changes made to the budget.
Thank you. Any questions for our Finance Director? Okay, if not, I am now opening public hearing, fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. Attorney Carey, please read this in entirety of the final budget resolution number 2022-09.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is resolution 2022-09. A resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2022-2023, providing for an effective date. Whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, on September 27th, 2022, held a public hearing as required by Statute 200.065. And whereas the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 in the amount of $19,564,000. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Daytona Beach Shores of Volusia County, Florida, that the fiscal year 2022-2023 final budget be adopted. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its adoption. Duly adopted at a public hearing on the 27th day of September 2022, and is currently 6:10 p.m.
Thank you. Okay, I now am opening up the public hearing. Is there any public comments? Okay, seeing none, I'm now closing the public comments. I will now entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-09, adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 final annual budget of $15,845,300.
So move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If none, no discussion, Sherry, can you take a roll on this, please?
Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Yes.
Councilmember Conlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we do not have any presentations or public notices. I would like a motion for the approval of minutes from September 12th, 2022.
I so move.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none. Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Yes.
Councilmember Conlon,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Okay, next, we're going to go on to the consent agenda. We do have 4 items on the consent agenda this evening. Do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda as is?
So moved.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you. Any discussion on any of the 4 items? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Councilmember Conlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Mayor Miller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we will now hear our city attorney. Attorney Carey, what report do you have for us this evening?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've worked on several things over the past couple of weeks. The first one is release of liability. We drafted a release of liability for an incident involving an accident with a city truck. This release ensures that the amount that we pay for the payment will be the sum total of what we'll owe, and they waive any further claims against the city. We provided legal advice to city staff on how to procure a vendor piggyback process. We worked with community services staff on an ordinance updating the city's flood management system. Held a conference with the city planner and growth management director regarding a property that is seeking development pending permit and is currently non-conforming use. We reviewed and approved the insurance certificate for a special event application, and provided a thorough review of the title commitment and performed our work in preparation for the closing on the 2970 South Atlantic property.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Carey. And what questions do we have for our attorney? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much. We'll now move on to our city manager, Kurt Swartzlander. City manager, what do you have for us this evening?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, member of council. A couple of quick things. As we've talked about in the past, we did mail out the flyer to any property that may be considered a condominium under the new state statute, which has all sorts of requirements. This was purely the informational flyer, and hope that everybody who may be listening that lives in a condominium is making sure that their condo board is addressing this. Moving on, Trucktoberfest is coming. It's tentatively planned for October 21st through the 23rd. It's still unsanctioned. No city is sanctioning it. There are folks who on the Facebook page are saying they're coming October 7th through 9th. So we're not sure which weekend they're really planning. However, public safety is ramped up and ready to handle that event. If we need, I'll declare it a special event zone under the statute. I think the sheriff is going to do that, so it's not a big concern right now. The last thing, at a prior meeting, I had mentioned that Waste Pro had asked for a price increase due to unusual cost of doing business, and they have backed off that request, and they will just be getting the CPI per the contract. And then the big topic of the day, the storm. As of 5 o'clock today, per the charter, the city manager declares a local state of emergency. So as of 5 o'clock today, we are under a local state of emergency. The county declared this morning. We're closing City Hall tomorrow and Thursday. And just so you're aware, you may see, if you're up this early, Waste Pro trucks coming in to try and get as much trash on the front load side from condominiums and businesses as they can. We authorized early access to the city because they're going to need to be off the roads by 3 o'clock to get everything out to the landfill before the landfill closes at 5. Normally they don't start operating till 7 in the morning, so if you, every once in a while they're loud, we sometimes get complaints, just so you know that's why we're doing that. As was mentioned, we've been doing sandbags since Saturday morning. We are not doing sandbags in the morning because City Hall is closed and we're shutting down and prepping for the storm. But sand will be available out back, but it'll be a bring your own shovel, bring your own bag, and whatever sand we have left will be there, so citizens will still have access to it. If you have not heard, there is a curfew being put into effect both Wednesday night and Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's been put in place by the sheriff. And we'll be talking when we're going to wrap up our staffing at the public safety side for overnight. And just an FYI, they're locking all of the county parks tonight. Will be locked during the event until probably Friday or Saturday at the earliest will they be unlocked. And as Reverend Bob said, I was so impressed with our employees this weekend, all the folks who came out, that department directors, other employees that are salaried, not getting paid, but they were out there doing it. And then hourly folks were working long and hard all day out in the heat, and they just really stepped up. I've always been impressed by our employees, but I was super impressed by the effort they've put forward in the last few days. So I want to say a special thanks to them. And the last thing, I would like to recognize Chief Dembinski. This is his last council meeting as chief. So Chief, I just want to say thank you. You've been a big supporter of mine over the last 4.5 years. And thank you for all your service to the city.
Hail to the chief.
Obviously, I'm going out in an exciting week.
Right.
Mike is, he's running this, hurricane plans, everything's going the way we've always done it. And the city will be as safe as we can make it.
Kurt, I had a couple follow-up questions. So one of them was, and I'm sure Nancy would be announcing this later on, we did cancel the concert for Friday night, is that correct?
Correct.
And what about any activities we had on Saturday?
Saturday, we're playing it by ear.
Okay.
So depending if the storm moves along, we'll be able to do Saturday stuff. If not, we'll have to cancel it.
Okay. And then when you talked about the county locking up parks, the only park that I know of, and I could be wrong, that we do have a lock on is the dog park. Are we doing anything with that, or are our parks more or less staying open? If someone wants to go out.
Our restroom facilities will be locked, but other than that,
open.
parks are parks. They're easy access.
Okay. Then I understood about the sandbags. If somebody did not get a pass, will they be available at public safety, or will that not be open for residents?
We'll continue to staff that with our engine.
All right, and just so everyone's aware too, the sandbags, we were restricting to Shores residents only. We had started on Saturday doing the passes too, but by the advice of our captain, he was saying it makes it a lot easier for them if you're in a row and they see that pass in your windshield. So we were, Saturday, starting Monday, we start giving them out, correct? To anyone that was beachside. And then can I go back to that condo bill flyer? Just want to let you know that, we understand we have gotten so much feedback on this condo bill. I think we're the only city that did this, but I don't know. Last month at Coffee with the Mayor, we wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of this bill. So we wanted to be fully transparent and awareness. So we had, I believe it was over 150 people there. We had our city attorney, Becky Voice, to explain what the bill is. We did not give any advice. We said you had to go back to your condo owners or your condo attorneys for any advice, but we just wanted people to be aware. And then we are going to have a follow-up meeting on October 12th. This will be Representative Tom Leake and Senator Tom Wright, and those are the people that can make things happen. So if you live in a condo and you're concerned about this, come out on that date and they'll be available for any of your questions.
Madam
Yes.
Mayor. Kurt, would you repeat that curfew, and is it just a city curfew, or is it a county curfew, or what?
It's a countywide curfew. Sheriff Chitwood is the one that put the curfew in place, and it's Wednesday night, 8 p.m., to Thursday morning, 7 a.m., and then Thursday night, 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. Friday morning.
Madam Mayor, I'm kind of naive. I hadn't had a curfew since the 70s. Is that you can't walk around or you can't drive around? Or both?
Captain?
I'm going to turn to the public safety folks.
Captain, I'm hoping that a lot of people might be aware of that, so would we just be informing them of this? We
use exceptional discretion in enforcing this.
Everybody goes to jail. Oh.
But
we put them up at the St. Croix Hotel.
It would include anybody who's out. There are exceptions for business owners and their employees going to and from their places of business.
So it's walking and or driving. So and in other words, they want the streets cleaned.
Yeah, we'll have more than twice the number of officers out that we normally do at night.
Okay.
When people lock down or when people evacuate, we tend to get an influx of people with bad intentions. So if somebody's out driving tomorrow night, you're going to talk to us.
Okay. All right. And we'll be able to go back and forth to the bridges. Of course, we'll be pulled over if it's past 8 o'clock.
The bridges will be closed and hard blocked at 39 miles an hour. From looking at the 5 o'clock, it looks like we may have tropical storm force winds, which are 39 miles an hour as early as 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right.
And that's moved up significantly throughout the day.
Thank you.
However, we're thinking that the Main Street Bridge would not be affected by the wind. So if you're out tomorrow and
You have to get over.
You can still go over the Main Street Bridge. That's what we would need until we know any different. If there's an evacuation and we close the beach side, that's a whole different
story. Thank you.
Okay, so those passes, Captain, most of our residents, I would assume, would be using them on Dunlawton Veterans Bridge and International. Will those all be, and those will be the same thing, the 39 miles an hour?
Yeah, all the high-rise bridges are 39 miles an hour. We've coordinated with Daytona PD and Ormond Beach PD as well as Port Orange, so those would be in effect there. I can't speak for what they'll be doing as far as passes on the other bridges, but after the event is when those passes really come into play. So when we've had major damage in the past, once DOT inspects the bridges, they're reopened. We have a lot of people who want to come back and check on their properties. We break it down into 2 lanes. So if you've taken the time to come and get the pass that we've asked you to, you get in the straight on through lane. If you haven't, you have to stop and be vetted, and that can cause quite a delay.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. Any other questions on this before we move on to old business? Okay, nothing else. So the ordinance for purchase of Chase property.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance 2022-15. ordinance of the city of Daytona Beach, Florida, providing for the acceptance of real property, or particularly described herein, providing for the taking of administrative actions, and providing for conflict, severability, and effective date. And this is the second reading.
Thank you. Is this a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything they would like to discuss on the purchase of Chase property? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion to accept ordinance 20-2015 on second reading?
I so move.
Second?
Thank you. Any other questions or anything else we want to know about the sale of this property? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a roll, please?
Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Councilmember Economos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so next we were going to go over, we had a workshop that we had some interviews for some board members, and I am going to break this down into 3 separate motions. So the first motion is that we, the 4 members whose terms were up on the P&Z, which is the Planning and Zoning Board, are Jim Lilly, Rick DeLonge, Roseanne Tornatore, and Chuck Corian. So do I hear a motion to reappoint those 4 members to the regular board?
I move we appoint those 4 members.
Reappoint.
Reappoint.
I'll second.
All right, any discussions or any questions on that? Just want to explain a little bit too, and we might have to look into this a little bit further. We always were of the practice that we staggered these, so we had 5 members on the board and their dates would be staggered. So Mr. Schmidt, who is not, his term is not up, he has moved out of the city, so he will no longer be in the city. And because of the death, unfortunately, of one of our members, and then we went from 7 members to 5, we are at the point right now that all of them will be up at the same time in 3 years. But I just wanted to explain that to everyone. Okay, do I hear, there's no question, no discussion on that, so we'll move on to the second motion.
We need to take a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Councilmember Economos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Okay, so we now, the second motion is that we have the vacancy with Mr. Schmidt, and so we are discussing moving up one of the alternates. So some of the discussion we had, well, first of all, do we want to talk about motion, or do we want, and then we can talk about the discussion that we had for our reasoning.
I move we move up
Jenny Group.
Jenny.
What was the last name? Jenny Group, what?
Big Nog?
Big Nog.
Okay.
Jenny.
All right, do I hear a second on that?
I'll second. Sorry, Mel.
I think that was, first of all, it was Councilman Economos.
Right.
Okay, all right. The discussion I'd like to have on this is, when we don't have that many boards. In fact, this is one of the only boards we have left on this in the city. So I want committed people on that board. One of the things that we asked in our workshop was there any regular members that had any unexcused absence on the board? And our city clerk was able to tell us that there was not. We then asked the second question, was there any alternates? And we did have one alternate that had 2 unexcused absence. So I think I'll speak for myself. I'm of the mind that I want to make sure if you're signing up for a board, that is a commitment you're making. You are representing our city. And to be fair to the other regular members of the board, it is required that you follow the same absence policy, that you cannot have 3 unexcused absence or you're taking off the board. So with the 2 unexcused absence, I think that concerned us. Does anybody else have anything to say on that before we take a vote?
No, I agree. I think it's important that the alternates show up. That's the way they learn how the process works, and in case somebody doesn't show up at the last minute, they would be able to move up. So I think it's very important that they continue to attend the meetings even when they're alternates.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, if not, Sherry, can you take a vote on that?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Economos?
Yes.
Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The third would be that we're going to put a new member onto the alternate appointment. So we're going to be appointing this evening, and we had two very good candidates. It was a hard choice to make, but do I hear a motion? Just a motion on which candidate we want to move to be an alternate at this time?
I'll move for, even though both Guy and John were good candidates for different qualities, I like the diversity of Mr. Desai because he's a community owner, and I think he'll add a different perspective to the Planning and Zoning Board as an alternate, so that's who I like.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I second it. I think we need to do the waiver too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, okay. So does the waiver need to be done before we vote, John?
Yes,
Because
ma'am. And the code also requires a finding that it's in the best interest of the city.
Okay, and what determines a finding? What does that look like?
You sang on the record that you believe it's in the best interest of the city.
All of us saying that?
That's part of the vote.
Yeah, that'll just be part of the motion.
Okay, so, and does that need to be a motion from someone before?
Yes, that should be part of the motion.
I have to have that, in other words, I have to withdraw my current motion as the candidate.
Or you could amend it.
I can amend it to incorporate this,
To incorporate a finding that it's in the best interest of the city
to waive the residential requirement.
Correct, yes.
And I so move accordingly.
I second it.
Okay, you know, and I want to make sure that people know that it's a business owner as well, that does own two businesses in the Shores. Any other discussion on that?
Madam Mayor, are residents allowed to attend planning and zoning meetings?
Absolutely, they're public meetings.
And our other candidate, and I'm going to mispronounce his last name, but John was previously on Parks and Recreation Board and has a desire to do this. So I would encourage him to attend as many meetings as he can, because again, there's going to be openings in the future. And I appreciate him applying, and I think he has a lot to offer the city because of his experience and his desire. So John, I would encourage you to do that.
Thank you. And that, you know, and his name certainly, you know, now that we have vetted him, we'll keep there too. Any other discussion? If not, Sherry, can you take a vote on that third motion under this?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Politis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Economos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and next we're going to be moving on to non-conforming sign removal incentive grant. So we have an application for Daytona Diner, 2043 South Atlantic Avenue, and I see Linda here as one of our owners. And if you'd like to step forward, I don't know how many people you know. Noelle, can you introduce yourself? This is our new city planner for people that don't know that.
Yes, I was going to introduce myself. I'm Noelle Eden. I'm the new city planner taking over and hoping to be able to provide you guys with as much information so you can make the best decisions. So,
thank you so much, Noelle.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you. Let's see, I'll bring this up. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. My name is Noelle Eaton, City Planner. This is an application for a non-conforming freestanding sign grant application. We've seen a few of these start coming through. As we know, we're at the end of the time frame to get these applications in. So we are seeing a little bit more, which is great. This is an application from Linda, and she is located at the Daytona Diner, which is 2043 South Atlantic Avenue. Staff received a complete application as of August 31st, and the application has met all of the sign grant criteria. The applicant did receive 3 different bids. 2 is only required, but she did receive 3. One from Fantastic Signs, who provided a quote of $15,248. One from Coastline Wholesale Signs, who provided a quote of $12,777. And then the applicant's preferred vendor, which is McNeil Signs, who provided a quote of $12,197.17. So this application, if approved, qualifies for the minimum $2,000 grant. We do have a minimum of $2,000, a maximum of $3,000. So this would qualify for the minimum. Staff is recommending approval of this grant on the condition that the new sign complies with the current sign code and land development code requirements, and that there is no existing code enforcement actions on the property at time of fund disbursement. So that gives them a little bit of time. This is the current sign. It's a full sign at the Daytona Diner. And then this is the proposed sign for both the north and southbound lanes. They're a little bit different. And the applicant, as you noted, is here today if you have any questions for her or I. Thank you.
Well, can you go over that again? So we had one for 15-2, 12-7, and 12-1. And which one of those three did she select?
It would be the 12-1, $12,197.17 from McNeil Signs.
And with that one, this qualifies for at least the 2,000.
Correct, yeah. I believe the 15% is less than the 2,000, but with the minimum 2,000, that's what we.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I did have a question. Noel, on page 179 of 208 on the agenda, I don't know if you have that, but on that McNeil sign, it says the price is actually $13,258.33. So I know what it says on the initial page, but when I look at that, is that a discrepancy or?
I don't believe, I'm pretty sure
I
it's.
just don't want anybody to be surprised, so.
Right, and right, it would still be the 15%. I'm positive that the 2,000 is still gonna be the 15% and minimum for this grant.
And I have another question, and Linda may be the person to ask. My wife and I have been to Daytona Diner many times, and we love it. And we like the motif and the interior design as much as anything. And we love the use of Betty Boop. But my question is that trademarked or copyrighted? And this is really for Linda, how did you get to use that, and are there any issues?
Linda, if you can come up, please. And if you could state your name and address, please.
Hi, Linda Topolon on 2967 South Atlantic Avenue. And she's public domain.
Yes, okay, good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, so thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Great question. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, Stuart has some.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members. I just wanted to note regarding the question from Councilmember Economos, the actual price for McNeil sign is on page 170, and that's at $12,197.17. That was used to apply 15%, which was actually less than 2,000, and so it was bumped up to the minimum, just for the record and clarification.
I do see it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because on the invoice it had the 13,000 amount, so, but thank you.
Thank you.
Before we, do I hear a motion? Do we need a motion?
I move we approve the phone grant.
I second it.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Hey, if not, Sherry, can you take a vote?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Brennan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Linda, thank you very much for complying with this. We appreciate it. Noel or Stuart, I have a question. So when we started out, when we began this at the beginning of the year, there was 69 that were still non-conforming. The council did approve 17 multifamily that we gave them a special. And then I think 2 more in the past couple of months. And if we approve these 2 tonight, is my math right that we're down to 48?
No, it actually has a number.
I actually don't have that number. I was out all day today and
That's
didn't get a
okay.
chance and thought about it right before. I knew that question was going to be asked. How many do we have left? But I do believe it's right in the 40s. Yes.
Does that sound right in my math? Okay.
And I can get you a number tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You can Friday if you're in, or Monday.
Right, yes,
we'll be fine. Okay. Thank you. Okay, and then we do have a non-conforming sign incentive grant application, and that is for 3218 South Atlantic. And Noel, can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, Noel Eaton, City Planner. This is an application for the non-conforming freestanding sign submitted by Gil Tall, owner of the property located at 3218 South Atlantic, which is also known as a plaza that houses Family Spot, Millie's, and Bruno Pizzeria. Staff received a completed application as of August 25th, and this application, again, has met all of the sign grant criteria. The owner did receive 2 grants, one from Permacraft Signs for a quote of $10,491.25. And the applicant has chosen Kenco Signs and Awning LLC, who provided a quote of $13,500. So if approved, this qualifies for a grant of $2,025. And staff is recommending approval, again, on the condition that it meets the Land Development Code and sign requirements, and that there are no code enforcement violations on the property at the time of grant disbursement. This is a current photo of the sign today at 3218. They will be removing this sign in addition to a second sign on the property that they will be removing. But this grant is just for the removal of this sign and the proposed sign here shown on this slide. I am getting to know everyone, and I am not sure if the applicant is here tonight, but if you have any questions for me too, I'd be happy to answer anything you have.
I love the Millies as seen on diners, drive-ins, and divas. Love it that they put on their way to advertise.
Dives.
Dives. Dives. I don't have my glasses on, Councilman.
I got your back.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Where is the other sign?
It's just a little bit south of this existing sign. I believe it's right on the corner of the property.
Okay.
To the left of this one in front of Family Spot.
Is it non-conforming as well?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. One at a time, Mr. Okay. So do I hear a motion to accept this grant?
I'll move to approve or accept.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, Sherry, can you take a roll on this one, please?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindauer?
Yes.
Councilmember Plius?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
City Attorney, I did some legal work for this plaza. Does that affect my candidacy or my ability to vote for it?
So they're a client of yours?
Yeah, they were.
They were or they are?
No, they had an ADA violation I took care of. I handled it for both Millie's as well as the owner.
So this was a one-time contract and not an ongoing relationship?
I still have an ongoing relationship with Millie's, but this is not a Millie's candidate.
Okay. Yeah, if you're no longer representing them, it's no problem for you.
Okay. Yes. Just got to make sure.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryan?
Yes.
Thank you. And I do see, Noel, I do see in this picture that you have here on page 200, I see where the other one is, the other sign. Okay.
What is the future of the other one?
It is just being removed. There is
not
no
gonna-
sign
It's not
replaced.
going to be replaced, too?
Correct, this will be the only sign.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, all right, so next we'll move on to the next item that is Veterans Park, and is that Stuart or Noel? Stuart? Veterans Park project, we're calling it Veterans Park, right, still? Yes. Great, thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, for the record, my name is Stuart Cruz, Community Service Director with the City of Daytona Beach Shores. Madam Mayor, the council tonight approved the fiscal year budget 2022 to 2023, which includes the Veterans Park project. You'll see that in the budget, and you probably have seen that in the budget already. The park project concept originated due to the fact that this U.S. Space Force service branch was added to the U.S. Armed Forces. I believe it was maybe a couple of years ago under the previous president. And as such, the Veterans Park has to be updated accordingly to represent the U.S. Space Force accordingly. So this particular project that you see before you tonight not only includes the accommodation for the U.S. Space Force, but it also includes some improved functionality in terms of the park. So what council is asking, what staff is asking for tonight is basically council to approve one of the two options that we have in terms of the improved functionality of the park. And you'll see that in the presentation I'm about to give you. So this is the Veterans Park, which is basically to the west of us right now. This is the way it looks, more or less. You can see there's 5 benches representing the prior 5 representation in the U.S. Armed Forces. And you can also see that there is an Armed Forces flags center and monument on the east side of this circle pathway that we have here. And the American flag is to the north of that. So what staff is proposing, the first option that staff is proposing is obviously to go ahead and add the Space Force flag and also add the Space Force, a bench with the Space Force seal, and then also add 2 sidewalks, one on the north side and one on the south side, which would be on the western side of the circle park area, and then also to add an event photo area in this vicinity to the south of the property. So the center or focal area is actually going to be on the west side in this first option here. And what you can see is the flags would be relocated here. The blue represents the U.S. Armed Forces flags, including the Space Force flag, and then the red dot represents the American flag. And you can see in the background there would be landscaping, palm trees, and other landscaping to essentially act as a backdrop for this focal point area where people can take pictures. So the second option would be, again, to add the Space Force, the bench with the Space Force seal. And we've added it in such a way where there is some level of symmetry and balance in terms of where the other benches are located. The only difference here, though, is that the focal area, you can see, is more spread out. It's wider to kind of match the internal circulation, or basically, you know, the sidewalk in this vicinity. So what you see is the U.S. flag in the middle, and the Armed Forces flags closer or hugging the sidewalk. And then the monument, you know, even though we have here the monument would be posed here, the monument might actually even stay here as well. You know, that's something that we're still, you know, deciding as staff. And obviously, if the City Council wants to chime in on that, we'll be happy to take those, the input that you have. So those are essentially the 2 options that we have here. The only difference, as I mentioned, is that in option one, the focal area is hugged, is tighter, and then the other one, it's more spread out. So staff is happy to take any input that the council may have.
Okay, I'll go first. I took a slight walk around here today, and I liked the one that it's a little bit more spread out. So I guess it would be the second one here. What I didn't like about this, or maybe that I would want changed, is first of all, it looks like you're going to fill in the cement that's right in the back of this community center with grass.
Yes, and all this, Madam Mayor, council members, this is just a basic concept. These are basic concept options. You know, obviously, you know, we can tweak things however the council directs us to. But in this presentation, you'll see that the area is filled out, but that could easily be removed and amended.
Okay, so my tweaks are that I would like that cement to stay. I think, you know, Nancy Maddox has been doing a great job of getting a lot of different events in here, and a couple of them are weddings, and I can just envision in that cement area, you know, maybe having a minister and the husband and wife, or whatever we would have there. I just like the area of that. So if that was going to remain there, then I would want the monument moved like you had talked about, so it's a clean area. The next thing that I have feedback on is, so the bushes that we currently have there, I believe they might be rose bushes. So when I stood where the flags are right now, I thought that was intrusive with the foliage and everything there. So I would want that filled in with just grass. So it would be a nice clean view, because I think that caught my eye instead of the flags that we wanted to. And then the next thing is, I promise this is the last one, the event photo area, when we were standing there is with the city manager day, and we were describing about how if you were gonna take wedding photos, if the Easter Bunny came at Christmas time, that one bench that's currently there was in the way of any photos. So I was wondering if there's, either we could move that to the right or left, so if somebody was taking pictures, that bench wouldn't be in the way.
That's certainly a tweak we can work with.
Okay, those are the three. Does anyone else have any? Oh, I think Councilman Bryan was first.
Stuart, what are the estimated costs of the two options?
So the budget has $60,000 allotted, but we did mark in some additional monies in the event of, supply chain issues, inflation, things of that nature. But we should be able to cover everything for that amount or even less.
So 60,000 is
for either option.
60,000 is what you might consider an overestimate.
Yes, it is an overestimate, again, because there are uncertainties in this time when it comes to construction materials and whatnot.
You had a question, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, excuse my graphic arts background, but the flags do not seem to be centered on the community center. When you come out on the porch, I would like to see the flags equally spaced so they're centered there. They seem to be down to the south.
And again, this is just a basic concept. When we actually, put concrete in the ground, that would all be, it will be centered.
But I do like number 2, except for that.
I do too.
And then the second question I had, I was asking the city manager. So right now, would those flags be on a cement? I mean, I wouldn't want them just stuck in the grass. Would they each be on their own cement pad? Or would you have a pad for 3 and then 3?
So at this point, we haven't gotten to that level just yet. Our in-house construction expert hasn't really shared that with me as yet. But what is the preference, assuming that either could be done? What is the preference of the council?
Well, my preference is that they're not just stuck in the grass, so I wouldn't care. I guess right now in my mind, I don't have any preference whether they'd be individual pads on each flagpole or 3, a semicircle 3, semicircle 3. Does anyone else have any? I didn't like the looks of them just in the grass.
Either way is fine with me. So.
Anyone else have any preference?
I think probably the most cost efficient and also the way it'll look, I bet you they're going to be on some kind of piling or a pillar type thing where you have individual pads for each pole, and then the pole brackets are anchored into with the bolts coming up through the concrete. Kind of a traditional way.
Correct. That would be the most cost-effective way of correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also like your idea of leaving the concrete alone, because that'll make a great photo op if you have anybody there with the way they're going to design the back and remove the bushes and install just grass there. I think that's a great idea.
My next question was, you had talked about something about in-house. I know we have such a talented staff. How much of this will be done in-house and how much will we need to sub out?
The number that I got was around 80%, 70 to 80% will be done in-house.
Is that good?
All right, so do you need a vote tonight on option 1 or option 2?
I believe all we need is a consensus as to which option, but I leave that up to the city attorney.
Yeah, that's correct. This is just a consensus to give staff direction.
Councilman Bryan, which one do you prefer?
The 2 with the modifications is fine with me.
Vice Mayor?
2 with the flag centered based on the center of the community center.
I'm also 2 with the little additions that I put in. Councilman?
And I prefer option 2 as well, with the same additions.
Councilman Politis?
2.
2, okay.
I think that's pretty clear consensus for
Yes.
staff. Thank you.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now we will go on to councilman comments, and I'll go back to you. Councilman Politis, any comments?
I can only presume that we've anticipated, let's say, a lot of rain in a short period of time, and that the city staff has gotten all the drains cleared, anticipating going out there in case there's going to be debris, so that way we don't have lakes in the middle of the roadway. That's all I hope for, but I'm sure it's already done.
Yes, they've been out cleaning the sewer pipes and other pipes, and number we had at our call today was an estimated 12 inches of rain, up from yesterday's call of 10 inches, so.
We'll all have a challenge to meet.
Councilman Collins?
I would actually like to float the idea if we can perhaps at a future workshop or a future council meeting talk about possibly a beautification project for the north end of the city. I've been approached by several residents and I felt this way for quite a while. I think there needs to be something done. I understand there's a lot of vacant buildings, a lot of vacant lots. A lot of the, this part of the city is absolutely spectacular. A lot of it has to do with all the condominiums that are here and their own landscaping. But I've taken a lot of good ideas from folks that might enhance the beauty of the city. And so if we can do that, I don't know if we would do that in a workshop in the future or just put it on the agenda for a future meeting. Additionally, a couple days ago, I think we all received an email by former City Attorney Lonnie Groot and longtime resident. And I don't have it in front of me now, so I can't speak to exactly what it was, but part of it was renaming the street after a respected citizen. I wanted to know if we could perhaps put that on the agenda for future consideration as well.
So that first one was on there, and we overwhelmingly, I think of every council here, we did vote on that we did not want Bellamy changed. So I don't see that we need to bring that back up again. Two of the other ones that were on there, one of them, and you know, I'm open to look if we haven't already voted on it, but two of the four we have had discussion on. So the first one, we're not going to entertain that again. The second one is like Gem of the Shores, you know, previously we had Volunteer of the Year, and we would award that at our Christmas party. Since we've done away with a lot of the boards, we no longer have that volunteer, but that's something that I would be willing to look at. The third one was putting the mayor's photos, and from a lot of the city halls I've been in the chambers, they do have the mayor's pictures up there. Unfortunately, checking with our city clerk, we don't have all the pictures. So the city manager and I were looking at something, maybe we'd do a timeline type thing. You know, so at least we'd have the names, if nothing else. And the fourth thing was naming a tennis court after a citizen. And I think we had a discussion on that too, that we do not want to name any of the tennis courts such after any citizens.
Well, once we go down that road, it's a slippery slope.
Right. So unless anyone feels any differently, Councilman Politis, did you get that same email?
No, I don't get any emails. I live my life very simple, so I have no idea what the email's about, nor
Okay, so
particularly.
So thank you for bringing it up. Two of them have already been brought up, that we've put those to rest. So the other two, you know, we certainly could look at those down the road.
And then my final comments is I hope everybody stays safe and secure, and our prayers are with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ours too. So, and as far, let me address the city clerk. Do we still have that beautification committee that we signed at one time, or do we?
There's no one officially on the committee, but there is the existence of a committee.
Okay, all right. So let's put that on the agenda for the beginning of the year. We're getting into the busy season. Let's put that on the agenda, that we, you know, do come up and at least look at something like that. Maybe reinstating a beautification committee with certain criteria.
Beginning of
like the beginning of next year.
Calendar year.
Calendar year. You know, we're going to have one meeting in November and December, and so yeah, the beginning of the year. Let's please put that on there. Okay, anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. And I, again, to repeat, please, if you're, you know, listening to my voice, if you're in the audience today, please be careful, be safe. You know, the city staff is going to be at a minimum, but they're here to help you if we need anything like that. And then, you know, I'm sure we'll say this over and over again. Director Dubinsky, I can't tell you what a help you were to me from the beginning of my career, not knowing anything, and, you know, having patience with me and working with me. I can't tell you how important that was. We're always a sounding board, completely honest. When you're off your rocker, Mayor, no. So anyway, I just want to express how much that meant to me.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. And you've been a great council, you're a great mayor. I've got no regrets. I've had a great career here, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me, and for my agency. And I'm sure you'll support Mike the same way you supported me.
See.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, two things. I hope everybody stays safe, and I'd like to echo the comments of the mayor on the chiefs. I'm going to miss our bannering back and forth, but hopefully you're going to be around the area, and maybe we can do some walks on the beach, and we'll solve all the problems of the world.
Anytime, Mel.
Councilman Brad?
This is an inside joke. Are you planning to drain the retention ponds?
Yes.
Okay, anything else, or is that it? Okay. All right, I don't have any audience comment forms tonight, but as always, we are here. We want to hear from you. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to say anything? Okay, not everybody at one time. And then what items do we have for the next agenda besides the normal ones that'll come up? Anything else? Okay, if not, then this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you. Go home, be safe.
Yep.